So I've had a question from one of the guys in the extra community, and they were asking, what do we do to fit more in the day? I'm really busy, and how do I make sure all the things I've got to do that I've got to be able to do them more efficiently and effectively? And it's a great question. But I want to answer that in two ways, because it's not just about how well we complete our tasks, because if we just complete our tasks efficiently and effectively, well, that's just work. But how can we complete our tasks in a way that leaves us motivated and strengthened and taking us along that path where we believe we're here on this earth for? So I will talk about some tips and tricks, but I also want to talk about this first part before we get there, which is how do we approach those tips and tricks? Often I think a lot of people are saying, how do I fit more in my day? Whereas I think as you become more mature and more considered in your business and your personal life, it's not how much more you can fit in your day, but how much more can I fit in the day of the right things? And how can I remove the other activities that might be important but not urgent, or remove the activities that aren't even actually important or urgent for me to do at all? And so from a business and corporate perspective, I'd always encourage to set context. So the further that you set a vision for the future, then the greater the chance you're going to be able to make the right decision for the here and now. I'm not sure if that makes sense. So if I've got a picture for the future of where I want to go and I'm clear on that picture, then when I need to make a decision to go left or right, if I've got a clear vision of where I'm going to go, I'm more likely to going to pick the right decision based on my future self rather than the challenges that might be present during the day. So a silly example might be, I want to be fit and healthy, and that's the picture I have in my head. The alarm clock goes off at 5 o'clock in the morning. If I've got my vision of the future of where I want to be clear in my mind, I'm more likely to get up and exercise. If I don't have a clear picture of that vision in mind, then I'm probably going to be more likely to stay in bed. And so what we want to understand that every time there's a decision, there is pain and there's pleasure. If I stay in bed and sleep in, I've got the pleasure of a sleep in, and that helps my immediate self. But I've got the pain that I'm not going towards my goal, or if I continue to do that for too many mornings, I've got the pain of feeling slothful, etc. At the same point, if instead of staying in bed, I got out of bed, I've got the pain that I didn't get a sleep in, but I've got the pleasure that I followed through on my goals, and I've got the pleasure of all the things that come out of exercise. So in that simple exercise example, you can apply that to business and all areas of your life. So the art of strategy for your business is the art of cutting away. And what most people do when they're planning their business, they think about everything that they've got to do and write it all down, and they make it really, really full because I want to make sure I'm burning through as much as possible, and I'm hustling and I'm getting all those types of things. And there's slogans that work really well across the internet. But if you follow that process for too long, you're going to burn out. And you would see that time and time again. We're all human, and an endless hustle is going to leave you tired. So I guess what I'd like to share, it's thinking about as much as possible what needs to be done, but not trying to do all those things in a week or a month or a year. But setting out certain plans of what order and phases need to happen. And the idea when you set up your strategy is to have as few as possible items that you need to do for the next year to achieve your company growth or your personal growth. Have as few as items as possible at the beginning of the day or the beginning of a week to achieve. Look for a few and as simple steps as possible that it's going to take you to your goal. So it's about the art of cutting away. And if you apply that at a personal level, there's that concept of essentialism. And the essentialism is about the art of cutting away. Essentialism isn't about selfishism. It's not noism. It's about knowing where you're going to provide the greatest impact of what brings you energy and joy, and what you can bring to others in energy and joy. So that's kind of phase one. I would just really encourage people to do that. Something that we work with, I guess, the monthly XCERPT community that are being coached, is we work through an annual plan that we set up, which is called a strategic operating plan. and we break that up into little 12-month goals with quarterly milestones, and we review that to make sure that we're focusing on the important, urgent items that are going to take us to where we want to go. And the plan should be simple enough that you look at it and you get inspired by it. And then second thing, really quickly, just a quick time management thing that I do is at the beginning of the day, I just set my tasks up to be in priority A and priority B. Priority A tasks are tasks that I must do that day. I do not go to bed unless I've done priority A tasks. And priority Bs are nice to have. I put them physically in my calendar and I book out my calendar to about 60%, because there's going to be about 40% of unexpected items that pop up or overruns. And when I've got that, that's my day done. And if I've got more priority A's to fit in that day, well, they need to fit on another day. So I plan that out at the beginning of the day. Before I leave to go home, I review my calendar. Theoretically, I've only got priority B's to reschedule, and then I schedule. So before I open up my email, before I do anything, the first thing I do is I look at my calendar, schedule those priority A's for that day, schedule the priority B's, which are nice to have, maximum 60% occupied in my calendar, and I review that the night before and plan my next day. It means that when the alarm goes off on the morning of the following day, I'm not getting surprised. I know what I've got ahead, and I'm not stumbling throughout the day and go, oh, that's right, I've got this meeting and 10 people pulling at me. I'm in control of that time and my day. So I hope that's a quick little tip, and I hope that's helpful. But here's to you, and here's to us leaving a lasting legacy, and here's to your success.